Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. So, it's that time again. Every month, Paizo puts out a live stream called Paizo Live. Here they talk about their upcoming projects, hype new things, and releases coming down the pipeline, that sort of thing. You can find these videos on Twitch, link in the description below. But I also like to do a brief summary of them for those who don't want to sit through a 2-hour live stream on Twitch with a bunch of advertisements, so here we go. Now listen, writing and editing a script and doing video editing, it all takes time. If I want to get these summaries out in a timely manner, this is going to be an unscripted video without a whole lot of interesting things to look at, I'm sorry. This is just going to be a quickie video where I summarize all the stuff released in the Paizo livestream, and to reiterate, link to the full official video will be in the description below. So as with all Paizo livestreams, they started with some witty banter at the start and then they got into it. Now they just mentioned Battlecry, it wasn't a main focus of this particular livestream. If you don't know, Battlecry is a new sourcebook coming out this year. It'll have 2 new classes. They did mention that there's a new article out on Polygon about the new ancestry, including a new Jotunblood or Giantkin ancestry. And yes, it's called Jotun, not Jotan, which I've heard people mispronounce it like that. Link to the article below. Then we got started on the new stuff for this month. The topics were the NPC Core, Lost Omens Rivals Academies, and a new hardcover adventure anthology called Claws of the Tyrant that will be coming out soon. So the NPC Core is basically just Monster Core, only with NPCs and not monsters. Most of the NPCs in the book are built as humans, but there are rules to change their ancestry up pretty easily. It's going to be similar to the Pathfinder 1 NPC Codex. The design idea is basically to give a GM what they need on the fly all the time. Like, if your PCs start a fight in a tavern, what are the stats for the guards? Or if your PCs go completely off the rails and decide to start destroying the local thieves guild, what are the stats for those thieves? Stuff like that. It will also include, possibly, there was a little bit of ambiguity in how they said this, a name generator, a personality quirk generator, special gear sets to add to NPCs, and also spell lists so that you can substitute them in for an NPC's normal spell list to turn like a wizard into a fire mage or whatever. There's also some really cool new art, and you can see some of this cool new art now. Paizo, on their blog, put out the NPC Core Valentines, which is just a bunch of art from the NPC Core linked with like really silly, cheesy Valentines, and it was meant to be cheesy and silly, that's kind of the joke. Anyway, link to that in the description below. They said that there's going to be a lot of new categories of NPCs, like there's going to be a bunch of martial artists, a bunch of primalists like this pack leader NPC here, a bunch of engineers like this one, which is based on the Sterling Dynamo archetype, and a bunch of mavericks, which are like cowboys with guns, including this gun witch with her gun staff. I need to include her in my game, she's really cool. They also mentioned a bunch of creature -1 characters that can aid or hinder in higher level skill challenges, like a prime minister who's just like a normal dude, you can take him out in like one punch, but he has enough skills that he can like run a country. Now, I talked about this half a year ago, but they planned on making this book earlier, and then the OGL scandal hit, and they had to delay it for a few years, so anyway, it's coming out now. Good news, I actually got my wish from my earlier video this year where I was asking for more troops because, hey, there's going to be some new troops in this book. Specifically, 1 new troop for every ancestry in Player Core 1, so there's going to be like an elf troop, which is on screen now, but also like a halfling troop and a goblin troop, that sort of thing. Additionally, there's going to be an ancestry section specifically for every ancestry in Player Cores 1 and 2. Remember, most of the NPCs are humans, but you can convert them into other ancestries, but these sections will be for specific ancestry-based NPCs. They said they updated troop rules to hopefully be a bit better. They said that old troops shouldn't have too many problems with the new rules, though. There are going to be rules for relationships, both love and hate relationships, and there are going to be rules on how NPCs can increase in power as PCs do. They also said that there's going to be a bunch of new adjustments, like making someone corrupt, like a corrupt politician. Also, you can turn soldiers into like guerrilla soldiers with an adjustment. There's also adjustments for like a union organizer or a retired NPC. And finally, this book will be coming out March 5th. Lost Omen Rivals Academy was up next. This is a book about 6 schools coming together for a convocation on sharing information, but in particular how to deal with the aftermath of the world wound and to make sure it doesn't happen again. For those who don't know, the World Wound was like this Terran Galarian that led directly to the Demon Realm, and just demons were pouring out of it all the time. It got closed in Pathfinder 1, but there's still a bunch of demons around and demonic corruption, so people are still trying to figure out how to deal with that. Like I said, there's going to be 6 primary schools, but there's going to be a bunch of other schools invited. The 6 are just kind of the main ones there. They are the Academy of Reclamation, who are the hosts. They are a Sarkorian school up in the north, and they are near the former World Wound. They want to preserve Sarkorian lore, and they have a lot of God Caller and Summoner magic. The Kovaslarni school on screen now, their headmaster is an Oliphant. They are Fae explorers who wander the First Realm, and most of the students are Fae, so that's pretty cool. Mongambia is well known. It's the oldest school in Galarian. Their originator was a dual-class druid-wizard, and there are some strong druid-wizard traditions there. Interestingly, the Monastery of Unbreaking Waves is one of the big 6 that are showing up. They are a House of Perfection, or a martial arts school that focuses on an element, in this case, water. They have like a bunch of monks and a bunch of maguses with like unarmed strikes and stuff. The monastery is actually underwater, and they learn from water genies. There's actually a Pathfinder Society scenario where you find the school. It was abandoned for a long time, but now it's being reclaimed, and it's interesting to see that they're out and doing stuff these days. There's the University of Lepstadt there, kind of the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein school. They have a new archetype called Lepstadt Surgeon, and they have a lot of occult magical technology. The final school is Kithrodian. They are a Taldor school that focuses on like historical plays, and they have a lot of bard magic. They also have this open secret where they train the Lion Blades, who are Taldor's elite spy network. Now, not all Kithrodian students are Lion Blades, but some are. Moving on, they did some other stuff. They revealed the cover art, and they also talked about smaller delegations that are showing up. These are not the main 6 schools, but they are some other schools that sent like a representative or two. There are the Halls of Revelation. They're run by like this ancient Cyclops, and they consulted the oracles and just decided to show up. They weren't invited. They're just like, oh, we're supposed to be here. There is the Sabastosis Academy. I'm probably mispronouncing that. They are an undead Geb school. Their solution is to raise all the dead demons in the World Wound as undead to help them defend against the demons. I don't see anything going wrong with that. There's the Dassaline Academy. They are a school from Absalom. They were involved in a prank war in a lot of Pathfinder Society scenarios. And then the Thessalonian Sahedron Spires. They are a new Thessalonian school. A lot of lore that I'm not going to get into, but basically one of the Thessalonian rune lords from like 10,000 years ago is now back in modern day, and she's setting up an academy to teach sin magic. There is a new Thessalonian rune lord class archetype. There was one pre-remaster. It doesn't really work with post-remaster wizards, so this is going to be a new Thessalonian specialist archetype. They can use a polearm as a staff at level 1, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that they talked about. I really want to play one. They did say that there's going to be some other new wizard schools in the book, such as a Mongambia Academy wizard school, so I want to see that. There's also going to be new archetypes and abilities and other classes, like monk feats for the Unbreaking Waves House of Perfection. They did say that this book is going to be a great starting point for a campaign, but it doesn't have any adventures in it. It does have a GM section for advice on using the academics as a backdrop for a campaign. Lots of bickering between academies and going out into the World Wound for quote-unquote research by just killing a bunch of demons. Lots of fun stuff. Finally, The Claws of the Tyrant is a hardcover anthology book of 3 adventures that is going to be released sometime this year. These 3 adventures are all thematically related to Erasni, who's like replacing Gorham. She was a god that existed before, but now she's taking her place as like one of the core 20 deities. These books are not made to be played by the same characters. They have a bunch of different level ranges. I suppose you could make your own home game and then slot these in at the appropriate levels, but otherwise they're just fun adventures to run. There's one that goes from levels 1 to 3 called Graveland Survivors. It starts you off in the Gravelands, and you've been living there ever since Tarbafon broke free for 6 years, just living underground, making forays out to get food, but now that living situation is untenable. The second adventure is for 7th level characters called Ashes of Azun. I may be mispronouncing that. In that one, you're working for an evil Grave Knight from the Bloodlords AP named Seldic Beldis to recover an artifact. And then the final adventure is an 18 to 20 adventure called Of Blood and Faith, where you find out that Seldic Beldis is going to use that artifact for really nasty stuff, and you have to stop him from rewriting time and fate. And then finally at the end there was a Q&A. I just included all of the Q&A stuff in their relevant sections earlier, so I'm not going to talk about it here. Now, before I end the video, I am pleased to announce I have some new stuff coming out on Drive-Thru-RPG, such as a new, different big pile of NPCs and a new cleric doctrine based on the old Sacred Fist option from Pathfinder 1. So look for those in the coming days, and if you can afford it, I'd appreciate it if you'd grab my third-party book, the NPC Omnibus, also available on Drive-Thru-RPG. It's got over 30 NPCs from levels 1 to 10, all made with the rules from the GM course, so it's got all the remaster rules in there. Check it out if interested. And that's all for this month. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!